Hey guys, what is going on? This is Deli. Today we're going to be talking about Survive the Nights, a multiplayer survival sandbox game that takes tendencies from DayZ, 7 Days to Die, and does its own twist on the survival genre. But before I give my impressions on how the game looks so far from somebody who plays a lot of survival MMOs, have a look at the trailer for yourself, and then I'll be talking about it later on. So it's been a few years since we've really heard a whole lot, at least a lot of hype around Survive the Nights until this reveal trailer, kind of reminding the survival MMO community that this game is still very much in development. And it looks to me that the developers really want to ensure that whenever we get the hands on this game, it needs to be to the point where it's going to leave a positive impression on the player base. And they seem to be putting a lot of love into this game, trying to make the perfect survival MMO sandbox game possible. Now, what's really interesting about this game is it looks like almost a perfect cross between 7 Days to Die and DayZ, both some of the most popular survival MMO games out there on Steam right now. What is also really interesting is I actually thought this game was going to be largely single player or co-op based, but that is actually not the case. this is going to be happening on a persistent environment, just like on DayZ. Eventually, they're going to allow players to rent and host their own servers for single player and cooperative play, and possibly even local hosting way down the road. But from the get-go, it's going to have a survival MMO atmosphere. You're going to have to choose a server and try to survive the nights. Now, that means there's going to be player versus player content. Maybe encounters, taking people hostage, voice over IP, the like, hunting down military weapons and supplies, and trying to fortifying your base. It looks to be, by the video, that they're going to be using a system, basically like a mentality system. So the more people that you take out, the more people you kill, the more insane your character becomes. And obviously those insane traits will have significant negative consequences on your character, meaning that if you take out another player, their loot is going to have to be so worth it to you that it's worth the negative insanity traits that you'll pick up in doing so. Basically kind of the same way that DayZ does the Kuru disease. Whenever you eat human flesh, there's some significant consequences in doing so. Some other things that I think are pretty interesting about the experience is the fact that there's a lot of emphasis on working together with players rather than just killing them. So fortifying buildings, collecting supplies, and what I found really cool was there looks to be an already well-established amount of bushcrafting capabilities in the game, which is something that I always find interesting for these survival MMOs because they're typically overlooked. So you can build that camp, you can go hunt animals, throw the carcass of the deer onto the truck, gut it and quarter it in a different location, setting up that camping tent. It seems to be pretty cool. I just hope that the player griefers and the negative like encounters like banditry don't overshadow some of the more, I guess, survivalist sort of hero play styles, like building up those bases. Because it seems like you're going to have to put a lot of effort into fortifying a house, and it seems to be pretty easy to just knock off a lock, rush in, and kill somebody. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Now, one of the most requested things in DayZ that a lot of people want is seasonal changes on the map. And it looks like Survive the Nights is going to be focusing on seasons, so long-term play on the same persistent servers will have environment changes spring, summer, fall, winter, which will obviously have impacts on the type of supplies that you can collect, the food that you can grow, the items you can find, the temperatures outside, being able to move around in your environments, which is going to be kind of cool. I don't know how many players are limited per server. If anybody knows, then let us know in the comment section below. But I can only assume that it won't be as many as DayZ Standalone, because in Standalone, there's a lot of emphasis on looting and moving from village to village and constantly being on the move. And it looks like in Survive the Night, there's going to be a lot of importance on barricading yourself and building up fortifications in a building. And all of the buildings in the game will be fortifiable, and allowing all sorts of different players to hold up in them during the nighttime. If you had like 60 players, it would be a little squirrely, I think. Almost too many people would be running around the world. You still need to have a feeling of emptiness in the world to make it feel like an apocalypse. The more people that you have running around, the less immersive it is. So they need to find that perfect balance between player count and interactions and immersion. And we'll have to wait and see what they're going to be doing with that down the road. So needless to say, as somebody who plays a lot of survival MMO games, I'm excited for this one. Survive the Night looks like it's been well developed, lots of features, lots of things to do. The core premise of the game seems to be completed before the player base even has their hands on it. This game is going to have to make a serious impact at launch. And by how long this game has been in development and how long we've known about Survive the Nights over the last couple of years, it's a good sign that we don't have access to this game yet. It means the developers understand the major risk in releasing their game far too early, and we see that on early access games far too much, where we get these empty shell of games and people abandon them because they're just not complete and they're not fun from the get-go. And even early access games need to have their basics covered at release date. People need to be enjoying themselves in order to want to support the development for the game for the years to come. People want to feel invested. So I hope that Survive the Night will be that game for us survival MMO players. What do you guys think about Survive the Night? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys during the daily live streams every single morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and Sundays at noon. And here on the YouTube channel, subscribe for more Survive the Night content coming in the future.